You know what time it is, folks. That's right. It's time for more in the Hot Box with Doc Rio. And today we are here to talk more about brand ranking. That's right, brand ranking. What does it mean? What does it mean to really rank your brand? What are the steps you need to do to rank your brand? And if you just happen to be watching the show live, go ahead and click that follow button below. If you are watching the repeat of the show on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell for notifications. Follow us, chat up with us, come in and listen to what I'm rapping, ranting, chatting about. But some of these tips and tools may help you. So stay tuned. We'll be right back because I am going to just come right back. Yes, in a couple of seconds. Stay tuned. It's Doc Rio. Look at us up on Doc Rio TV. You know what time it is, folks. That's right. It's time for more In the Hot Box with Doc Rio. Now, some of you probably wondering why I do that twice, and it's because I have a double broadcast. So I have to kind of do it twice right there at the intro. But we're here today. We're here today to talk to you about, guess what? Oh, yes, brand ranking. That's right. We're here to talk more about brand ranking. And today's lesson stems off the idea that, you know, when you're talking about brand ranking, you're talking about investing in yourself. And I know that when we talked in the last episode about niche peaking, or the last lesson about niche peaking, we talked about having to possibly invest in journals, having to possibly invest in other resources to get the research you want to get done. And one of the issues with that is that, you know, you can get lost in getting into research and not actually getting started on what you need to do. So the next phase of this is, I call it invest in yourself phase one. And people ask me about that when we're doing the lesson. Why'd you call it invest in yourself phase one? Well, because this is really the first phase of really digging into your pocket and really, really digging deep to put down and taking a risk. You know what I mean? Part of everything you do as an entrepreneur to excel your business is taking risk, especially when we talk about buying tools that you need to further your brand, or buying tools or paying for tools that you need to further your brand. So it takes a little bit of planning. And I tell people all the time, you need to start planning. You need to start planning because you got to reach in your pocket. And when you reach in your pocket, you want to produce your content. And if you're focusing on the planning, which I'm looking in the wrong place because I got this in the wrong place. I was actually going to play music this time, but I did not at the beginning because I felt it better not to play music. It just feels better when I do not music. But, you have to start planning to do things like possibly outsource labor, plan to pay for possibly outsourcing, or pay to have someone come in and do some processing of your digital media. You have to purchase different types of gear that you're going to need. So I call this focus on a planning of outsourcing labor, digital meeting phase one gear, and spreading your purchases over time so that you're just not going broke to take this risk, but spreading your purchases over time and planning it so that you're getting the things you need when you need to get them. So for instance, okay, for me, I was planning on building this computer and something came up. So I have to plan my purchases over time and purchase piece by piece the pieces of the computer I want to put together, because I have to kind of balance out my financial budget during this holiday season and I call it the slow season. If you're in film and television, you know that there are two times for hiatus: summer hiatus and winter hiatus. And in that time, it becomes, I don't want to say difficult, but it can become a little bit more challenging for people to find employment and balance out a budget. So there are certain times throughout the year that you either have to make enough money throughout the year to cover that time, or you just have to really be wise about how you're planning. And for us as filmmakers, that was a great time for us to introduce independent media. So not only were we working all season, but we were planning on all season. So whether it be spring or fall, we were planning throughout the season how we were going to shoot other projects later on. And that required us doing some budgeting and planning and putting away money that we were going to use to do, or that we are going to use. I still do some of that today. I mean, what do you think these projects are? Most of the time I'm doing these projects and planning the budget of getting the equipment and everything that I'm doing for these lessons through the season, because I've been in classes, I've been in school. And during that, I have to put away money or purchase certain items throughout the year to figure out how to do it better throughout the time. And so you're actually seeing me as one of the case studies, because throughout the time that I do these certain things, I'm taking notes, I'm keeping track of what I do and how I do it throughout this journey. And as I keep track of it, I turn it around and talk more about it, how it works better for me. And, it's funny because I was talking in the last episode of how, maybe necessarily the tips that I bring to the table don't work for you. You have to challenge what I'm talking about. And, somebody else said the same thing. They were talking to someone last night about how they can advance their channel, how they can grow their channel. And one of the first things they said was they got to get a webcam because, yeah, it's cool to say something to somebody like, and I love the way this person said it. I'm going to say it, A1000. A1000, I was sneaking in your channel last night, A1000 years, and I was listening to you talk again. But she said something to the fact of, hey, it's nicer, when people come into your channel, you say, hey, what's up? How you doing? And you're excited about that person. But if you don't see the person's face, they could be excited with a fake voice. Back in the day, there were tools that people used to get pleasure out of making phone calls. And you never know who is on the other end of that line. Just like back in the days when people were chatting by text, they're getting pleasure by chatting and meeting other people by text. They may not know who was on the other end of that line. Just like when people played Second Life, people may not know who was on the other end of that avatar. But people went through the process to enjoy that time, not even knowing if that person was real. And so when you have somebody sitting in front of a screen and they're saying, hey, they're not faking their voice, you can actually see their expression, you can see their energy, and that they're really excited about your follow, about your like, or about something you said, or about, maybe a donation that you gave, or whatever it may be. You can actually get a better presence or a better feel for that person and what they're really conveying to you. So, that might not work for everybody, and so as I was saying before, that might not be something that everybody, likes to do, and it may not actually work for you. If it doesn't work for you, so be it. You do it. If your channel's working for you the way it works, but I guarantee that if you put your face on your screen, you will get a larger fan base. You will gain. If you're banging out a great fan base right now and you don't even have your face on the screen, you got to jump on a lot of people. That means you can pull a lot more attention by putting your face on the screen and taking the time to get the proper setup with the right mic, get the proper setup with the right system. Do what you need to do to get to the next level. So in order to do that, I know a lot of people who just go out there and just shoot. Not just talking about for streaming. If you're going out there and doing a physical production and you want to plan a commercial or a music video or something that you want to do to promote your product, your service, or your brand, and you get out there and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to promote my product, service, and brand, but we're just going to shoot this. I'm going to hire this guy over here. I'm going to get this guy over here to do that. I'm going to get this guy over here to do that. I'm going to get this woman over here to do this. I'm going to get this person over here, I want to be fair, non-binary person over here to do this. I want to get this other person over here to do this, and I want to get this other person over here to do this. You know what I'm saying? No matter who you're picking to do all these things and getting them together, I hope before you sit down and just shoot it, that you sit down and you plan it. One of the things we do before we even do little commercials is we write a script. One of the things before I even do these broadcasts, actually, be honest with you, I got a script right here that I'm following. I'm not following word for word. It's notes that I'm writing down, and I'm looking down at them to make sure I follow through my script and make sure that I stay on point, because I can go off on tangents. As you already know, I've already went off on one talking about, I forgot what I was just talking about earlier because I went off on a tangent. Talking about how we take the time to invest in ourselves in this voyage of investing in ourselves. I know it was something specifically to that, but to keep going, it takes a lot more planning just before you jump out there and just start shooting some stuff. And it takes a lot more planning to sit down and make sure that what you're shooting is going to actually connect to that audience. This is where that data is coming in. My audience is asking me different questions and I'm answering in these statements, but I also have data that says that a few of the things that I talked about, people are not going to ask questions about. So I skipped that first section of this lesson series, which was all about basically niche picking, because people didn't really ask about niche picking. They asked about niche peaking. You know what I mean? So the first part was niche picking to niche picking to niche peaking. That's where I get my tongue twisted in both of these. But the first part was all about niche picking. And then we moved into niche peaking, and then we moved into brand ranking, right? So the audience, most of you all out there ask me, hey, what do you mean by peaking? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? So when it came to brand ranking, the data, when I looked at that and people were asking about brand ranking and they were asking about, well, what do you mean plan before shooting? Some people didn't understand what I mean. I mean, you got to sit down and maybe write out what you're talking about. It's better to put the pen to pad than it is to go out and shoot something and have a lot of footage to edit and not know what you're going to do with it later. So as as some people have said in construction, you measure twice, cut once, measure 3 times, cut once. You know what I mean? And so you're taking that time to put the pen down and make sure everything you want is visibly seen and that you've looked at it from the right angles and that you're ready to cut before you actually cut that piece of wood so that you can save money. You know what I mean? So that you don't end up with pieces that you don't really need. Part of planning, when you go and build something, part of planning is not buying too much. Like, I remember we built a snake cage at this house that we had in Colima, and we built a big snake cage. It was huge. I mean, we're talking like really huge, because we had 11-foot Burmese python owned by my roommate, Dustin Ashley. And Dustin, I love this python. This python would come and people were like, yeah, snakes are scary, snakes, But I love this python. I've never seen a python do this. We would sit and watch, maybe it'd be football or watch a movie together, and it'd be a whole bunch of us in the living room, and this python would cuddle up with us. I mean, it thought of us as family, but eventually, of course, it'll get to a size, where it's going to start to think of us as food. It's a python. It's a snake. I mean, you gotta know that's what a snake does. So anyway, it's survival instincts. It's reptilian survival instincts are more are prevalent more than they would have. They don't have an Abdullah oblongata. Is that the right one? Yeah, neocortex. That's the one I'm talking about. They don't have a neocortex telling them, different things that actually help, that give them a thought process like we do. They have their reptilian brain that actually gives them, I'm probably saying the wrong medical terms because I'm forgetting right now, but there's 2 types of our brain. The type of our brain that has a reptilian mind, and the type of our brain that has a cognitive thinking, where we can actually, see right from wrong, where our fight or flight. Goodness, I can't even talk today. Our fight or flight response, right, might actually cause us to see something from the wrong angle and either fight somebody or run away from it. But our cognitive mind might actually see that, well, maybe that person is not chasing after us. A person might come, maybe I've seen this several times on TV. A guy standing there. As a matter of fact, I was watching something else. A guy standing there, he's guilty. He's waxing his car, but the police are coming to a house next door and he sees them and he runs off. Now, had he stayed there and just started waxing his car and just kept what he was doing, he might not have been picked up. Not to say that he should run away from what he did. They did a major crime, which, I was watching some Netflix, that happened. But anyway, and so it's a possibility that our reptilian mind may confuse things and cause us more trouble. That I believe that's why we grew into a mind that allows us to see things and understand things and be more cognitive, cognitive thinking, and critically think about our surroundings and debate about these things. That is part of that other mind. So, when we think about the snake, for instance, we had to build a cage for this snake because we know it has a reptilian mind. And this reptilian mind might one day come out and bite one of us or come out and bite one of our other animals in the house and kill our other animal in the house. So when we went to build this cage, we didn't just go out there and say, okay, we're just going to put some wood together, build this. We're like, okay, we got a budget for this. Let's put together a budget for it. Let's see what we need. We need, some chicken wire. We need a certain amount of wood. We need to measure the size that we want the cage. We need a certain amount of glass because we wanted to actually put glass in there. We put glass in this cage to make it nice and visible. We also had to close off the top of the cage so that we can give him air. We couldn't close the snake in there in full glass without air. They had to have air coming in, but it had to be air holes small enough that it wouldn't be able to climb through because, a snake's a snake. It'll figure out a way through. As we learned from this snake, we didn't the first time put the right chicken wire on top. And the chicken wire we put on top, they were able to sneak out, get back into the game room, climb out of the chimney because we had a fireplace in that game room, climb through the chimney, get in the room, head off the street, get hit by a car, which cost thousands of dollars on a Sunday to get a snake checked out for getting hit by a car. When fortunately, all that happened was it bit its lip with its own fang. That's it. That was the only thing. It flattened itself out under the tire and was pretty much lucky. Lucky snake. And our neighbors found the snake out in the middle of the street. So we had to really build a cage and really lock the snake in really well for when we weren't, feeding the snake. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing a snake. One of those things that we have that all animals have are these certain instinctual feelings when it comes to pain. Snake was trying to get out, and the snake could reach all the way up on its own tail to the top of the grate that we built. And I was like, man, this snake is going to one day reach that and pull itself up and try to get out, like it did before. Well, so one time the snake decided it was reaching, and then it slipped on some of the gravel that we had because we had wood chips and stuff. It slipped on the gravel wood chip and it fell down and it hit his tooth. And when it hit his face, it came up like, ooh. And I was filming it at the time, just filming the snake stretching up. And the look on the snake's face was so like human to me, like, oh, that hurt. Excuse me. Just one of those things. We all have the same instinctual pain because we all come from the same place. We're all animals that come from a single cell organism. So, matter of fact, from an atom, to really take it back. So, anyway, but to build this cage, when we went to build this cage, we wanted to make sure that when we bought the wood, we weren't buying too much wood. We didn't buy too much glass because we had to have it specifically cut for what we wanted to do. And we had to specifically route out the glass. We did all this in our backyard. We did it all ourselves, except for the glass. We had the glass cut to the size we wanted. And we went ahead or did we have the glass cut or did we already have the glass? We might have already had the glass because, we had industrious roommates. We were just pretty industrious. But the wood we had to cut the wood specifically. And we only had a certain amount of wood, so we had to cut it, measure it the right amount and make sure that the extra pieces we were going to be able to use as well. We use pretty much all of it. There were like little chunks like this big that were pretty much waste that we ended up turning to maybe door stops or other things that we use, platforms that put stuff on. But in order to do that, it took a lot of planning. It took a lot of time. It took us to go through things, to sit down and plan our whole budget and sit down. We didn't do this in one weekend. We didn't just do this in one day and go do it. We sat and thought about it for days and put together different ideas between the 3 and 4 of us, depending on which roommates were together at the time. And Then we set out to, get the right tools, make sure we had the right tools, the right saws, the routers, because we had a table saw, but we didn't have a jigsaw for certain cutting. So we had to buy a jigsaw. We had an air compressor for certain things that we needed to do as far as blowing out the air and getting stuff out. We had a sander to sand stuff down. We had certain things that we needed to build, and we needed to use to build this stuff. And we got a router so we can route off certain holes and do certain things because we have future plans. We have, with these tools, we were also going to use these tools to build an archway and separate. We had a 5-bedroom house, and we made it into a 4-bedroom house with an archway in between 2 bedrooms, and put in one of the bathrooms, we put a fish tank in there so that people can look through into the shower and see the other person in the shower up to their chest, but see fish in between the shower. It was just something nice that we did. So in us building all this and putting all this together, it took a lot of planning because we redid this whole house that was sold for $750,000 that was originally bought for like almost $300,000 because it was filled with trash. And the people who had lived in there before had just, when things broke, they just let things pile up for years. And we're talking like 20, 30 years until they didn't have a place to live. They were living in tents outside the place. And it was just full of trash and waste. So when my roommate originally bought the place, they had to come in and shovel out nothing but trash. And so it was a whole concept from the time that we moved in to renovate this house and make it into something new. And that's what happened. And, it sold for $750,000 before the bubble burst. And that took a lot of planning, and it took a lot of time, and we made some mistakes because we didn't plan sometimes. We didn't cut sometimes. We tried to rush certain things, and then we had to fix things and revamp things. So it takes time and money to plan this stuff out. So it's best to go ahead and take that time and spend the money properly. And so one of the other things that you would need to do is to spend that money properly. You might need some help. You might need to go out there and get freelancers. When we were putting this house together, we went out to Home Depot and hired helpers, day workers, to come out and help us do certain things like painting, help us run cable. Dustin was an electrician, is an electrician. So running the electric box and all that was his mastermind plan. But at the same time, he still got workers to come out and run the lines for him so he could not bend over as much and hurt his back, so he could spend more time planning and realizing the dream so we can pass inspection. So if you need to go out and get help for your business, if you need to go out and get freelancers, if you need to go out and get people in your neighborhood and pay people in your neighborhood to do certain work, do it. It's better to do that than to sit around and not have it set up the right way, and not have things done the right way, because you may not be fully experienced in everything that you plan to do. I spent a lot of time doing things and kept all my focus in media in my life, but at the same time that I kept all my focus in media in my life, there may be things that I don't know how to do that I have to go ask other people how to do, or I have to go figure out how to do. And sometimes saving time is saving money. So you might want to think about freelancers to save time and to save money. Also, you might want to start shopping for things that you need at the right time. Shopping for things at the right time is just, wow. Okay, there's sales all throughout the year. Certain holidays, certain events throughout the year give you the opportunity to shop for things at the right time. And if you follow the sales or buy things at the right time, like during Black Friday sales for things that you're going to use in June, but because it's a Black Friday sale that you may get an opportunity. It's like Christmas shopping. It's not smart to do Christmas shopping on Black Friday. It's smart to do Christmas shopping all year long. Save up stuff, store up stuff, pack away stuff. And not that I do the best Christmas shopping, but from statistics that have been proven, the people who do the best Christmas shopping buy stuff all year long. Now, if they buy stuff all year long, that means they're finding all the deals all year long to get the products they want to buy and save money, right? And so when it comes to Black Friday, now they can go out and shop for things that they want to go out and shop for that might not be on that all year long list, or they might have missed a sale or might have missed something. And so if you're pretty smart, In the tech world, we have Cyber Monday, a great opportunity for you to take advantage of some of the same deals, because Cyber Monday is kind of the same deals that happen all year long, but they're maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe even $100 less, just because it's that time of the year. So paying attention to the sales, paying attention to the right places, going to the right websites to find the right stuff, and making sure you don't waste time on websites like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're going to get tech stuff, know that if you go to websites like Wish, Top Hatter, all those deal vendor sites, I'm gonna be honest with you, know that you're probably gonna get something from China that's less standard. Now, mind you, 90% of the stuff that we use, the technology that we use, is made in China. But when I say China substandard, there's a difference. So know that you're getting stuff that, like they used to say, there was a website, I can't remember that website, they used to say all the time. They used to say all the time, Newegg. They used to say Newegg used to be a website that you didn't like to buy stuff for them because it was either used or refurbished. Well, if you're buying stuff from Top Hatter and all this, and don't get me wrong, I bought stuff from Wish, I bought stuff from Top Hatter too. It comes out to be substandard or reused or half quality. You know what I mean? It may be gray market material. Now, if you really want to get stuff that is the right market material that you want, that's not black market, that's not gray market material, I guess that's called white market. I'm not really actually sure. Is that white market? You know, if you know, please leave a comment in the below or in the chat. Let me know if that's what that is. I hadn't looked that up before, but let's say you are trying to market your material and buy something and you're getting stuff that is gray market. Gray market stuff doesn't allow you to have the same warranty. Trust me. When we were doing industry, one of the mistakes that we learned is that my business partner bought something. I think he bought it off of Amazon. No, he bought it off of eBay. He bought a camera off of eBay, and when it came time for us to check out the warranty, he couldn't because it was a gray market item. That meant instead of coming from the manufacturer, it came from the manufacturer, went to somewhere else, maybe got refurbished there, or maybe was used there, or maybe it wasn't even sold there. Maybe it was redone there and it was sold gray market, or maybe it was a defected one that the company rejected and sold off to another company. And when it was sold off to another company, that company decided to sell it off on eBay because it still worked. So that becomes gray market, and that doesn't allow you to have that warranty. It's just as bad as buying it black market. You might as well say you bought it black market, except it might have been new in the box still, but it was rejected by the company. So, these are the things you got to look out for. So when you shop at the right time, you need to also shop at the right places, and online shopping tips, that's what's going to be what is in this lesson series for brand ranking. Shopping at the right places to shop, the right places to look at. Also, you want to research the tools that you buy. Now, I know that we spend time researching the stuff that we buy before we buy them. So we spend a lot of research into what's going to happen. But when I mean research the tools, research the extent of how well you can use the tool. Don't just use a tool once or twice and think that's it. Start to look in, when you get the device and use it, start to look in the extreme amount that you can use it and a minimum amount. So take it to its extremes and see, don't break it, taking it to extremes, of course, but take it to an acceptable extreme to see what the limitations are, so that when you're doing something live like this and you end up with sound after you've recorded it that is delayed and comes in after, that you might have to skip that sound 4 frames forward or backward in order to match the lit audio, because you're using two different devices, a webcam and a sound mixer, to run your microphone, and they may not exactly sync up. So like we do in film and television, people clap to try to sync that up so they understand the sync, but it's not always going to sync, especially if you're using something like Lightstream, Go Lightstream and Mixer, because Go Lightstream and Mixer, it's actually going from Go Lightstream. Your broadcast is going from, let's say you're using your Xbox. Your live stream is going from your Xbox into Mixer, going back out of Mixer, going to Lightstream, going into Lightstream, adding whatever features you're putting on there in Lightstream, and then going back to Mixer to rebroadcast it. So it's streaming to 4 different places before it actually gets to your audience. So if it's streaming to 4 different places before it gets to your audience, it has it's liable. You know, there's probably a more than one in excuse me, there's probably a 4 out of 5 chances you're going to have delayed audio. 4 out of 5 chances it's going to go digital at some point. 4 out of 5 chances you're going to lose the feed at some point. 4 out of 5 chances you're going to lose sound. 4 out of 5 chances your audience is going to have to refresh the page. 4 out of 5 chances it's going to be delayed behind for them. You know, they may say something, you may see it, but then you may not, they may not get your response, even though your response might be immediate. They may not get your response for 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds later. 4 out of 5 times these things are going to happen. So it's good to know the tools that you're going to buy and know the limitations of the tools you're going to buy, so that when you're caught in those limitations, you know how to bounce out of them faster. That's that back to that practice makes perfect. The more you stream, the more you do what you need to do to make your stream happen, the more you're going to learn the mistakes that you can fall into, and the more you're going to be able to maneuver through those mistakes. Another thing, advertising and affiliates. I know a lot of people are spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to make money, and they're just worried about getting donations and getting all these things, but you can get out there and get advertisers and affiliates, you know, to make more money. You don't have to just wait to be a partner on Mixer. You don't have to wait to get, you know, verified by certain websites or certain social media avenues. You know, you don't have to be a verified partner of everything in order to make money. You know, you can go and advertise for people in your local community. I haven't been doing that as much as I was doing before. And I think I'm going to reach back out and start doing that, because people in your local community need dollar signs too. And if you can advertise for them and make them a little bit more money, then you have a new client on board. And that new client on board is going to help you make money just as you help them make money. It benefits them if you're benefiting them as well. So think about that. Look out for different advertising sources, different affiliates. And in this lesson series, I give you some sources, some resources to do that, and some ways and tips on how to go out there and get more advertisers and gain more resources. You know, how to get more money in your pocket. You know, something I'm always looking for ways to do. So I'm always trying to fine tune that for me, for my business. And so these tips may not work for you, but you can try them and test them out and see if they do. So next, YouTube influencers. Oh, wow. People are like, why would you want to deal with YouTube influencers? Well, because there's a lot of influencers out there that, okay, let me rewind real quick. I know that many of us spend a lot of time watching YouTube, whether that be to look at cat videos, to get information. I was shaking my head for those listening in, to look at cat videos, and I shook my head side to side. I just can't get over that one. To looking at, you know, DIYs, do-it-yourself videos. You know, I know people look to get information about products. People look just to be entertained. But if you actually spend any time looking at DIY videos, you'll find that you might figure out something that you might learn to do. And there's certain influencers out there that are better to watch than other people who call themselves influencers. You know, there are people that do this better than me. There are people that are out there that can give you more information about marketing your brand better than I can. And you might find that information more valuable than the information I'm giving. So I would suggest you go get that information from there. Go to where it's valuable for you. If what I'm offering is not valuable, well, then that doesn't work for you. But if it is valuable for you, stay tuned, listen more, follow, subscribe. You know, those are the things that you kind of have to do. Get on the Discord, follow me on Discord. You know, jump on my Discord chat and we can talk more. because that's a direct connection, or a closer to direct connection to me. And if you have questions, I'll answer them there in the Discord. You know, it's important that we follow those who influence us on the path that we're going. And some of these YouTube influencers can follow us on the can influence us on, or can encourage us or motivate us to go down the right path, and some can inspire us to do the wrong things for our business. So when you follow YouTube influencers, make sure you test them. And I'm gonna have a list of influencers that you're probably gonna want to take a look at. You know, influencers I think that are really good at conveying information across to an audience, and influencers that are really good at giving you information that you can really use and mold to your brand. You know, and as I keep saying, some of these influencers may not fit you. So take what you need from them and use it. If it doesn't fit for you, go on to the next one. Hot sheets. Hot sheets. You got to find hot sheets that feel your brand, that fit your brand. Everybody has different hot sheets, trends, the trades, excuse me. The hot sheets are the trade papers in your field that help you understand your field. They're more research. And so I'm going to talk about hot sheets, how you can use them better. And it's important to understand that part of using them better is researching the hot sheets, staying in tune with the hot sheets, knowing the latest technology that's dropping, knowing the latest movement in the culture, knowing what people are doing, what people are writing about, what people inspire to see in that culture, what people want to believe in that culture, and knowing the next voyage, the next change in that. I mean, I don't understand how people can work in the field and not want to know what's going on in the hot sheets. I mean, if you're interested in the field, you should be interested in what is happening in the current events in that field. And so I kind of find it perplexing when people tell me, oh, I don't waste time reading that stuff. You know, when people, still to this day, people tell me, oh, I don't like to read newspapers. Well, you don't have to read a newspaper by hand anymore, but you should be reading some kind of news in your field, in your genre, all the time. If not once a week, once every day. If not once every day, once a month. You should be doing it once a week, at least once a week. You know, Sunday paper is a great thing. You know, get the Sunday paper, sit down, read the whole Sunday paper, get in the trade section, get trade papers from your particular field, from your particular your particular niche, and from that niche, excuse me, I had to burp there, but from your niche, reach in and grab information that's going to help you push your brand to the next level. You know, one of the things I go to every year is the NAB show. I go to it because I work there for certain outlets here and there by providing content. And I go there because there are a lot of trade periodicals and a lot of trade information that I find out there. Go to these trade conventions as well. The hot sheets are not just part of this. You need to get involved in those conventions and be a part of that community. The more you're involved in that community, the more you are going to connect with people who can help you get to the next level, who can guide you, who can just give you answers, and who you might be able to give answers to as well. You know, this is a two-way street. Anything I say that goes out can come back to me. And that's why I always say, if I'm pointing one finger out, there's three fingers back. I'm saying this stuff because I need to do it just as much as you do. And I consistently tell myself that I need to do this stuff so that I voyage out there and stay persistent and stay on my journey. You know, that's some of the things that are going to be in this lesson. And, you know, as I think about this journey and staying consistent, I have to think about what makes me stay consistent. What makes me stay consistent on this journey? Well, for me, it's a little bit easier than some people because I find that I dive into my top 5 strengths a lot more than most people do. And if you don't know what that is, that's StrengthFinder. StrengthFinder is a survey you can take about yourself to find out your strengths and how to better use them, and the dark side of your strengths, the shadow side of your strengths. You know, they don't say that you have weaknesses. They say that, you know, we have strengths, and to our abilities in our strengths, we can push them to a point that there is a shadow side. Well, My top 5 strengths are woo, that's winning others over, um, communication, communication, positivity, consistency, and futuristic. Well, as you might be able to tell, winning others over and communication kind of run together, because winning others over have to do with connecting with people and communicating with people. But because I tend to like to connect with people and then connect with more people, it may seem shallow sometimes when I connect with people. I may hang out with people and then move on to another group of people, but that doesn't mean for me that they are no less close to my heart. Like, I hang out with people in spurts, and I care for a lot of people, and because of the woo in me, I'm constantly or consistently looking for new people to meet that may connect the people that I care about already with those people. So it's a good thing that I woo, 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 but it can come across as, you know, pretty shallow. And sometimes in that woo, I may take my communication levels to a higher level. I may communicate a little bit too much. That's why I can sit here and go through an hour broadcast, of things that I have written down and not really exactly write everything I want to write down, because I'm a communicator. And it's one of my greatest traits, but it's also shadow. It also has a shadow side that people can say that I talk too much. People can say that I'm you know, I wear them down because I have a lot of information that I want to communicate at one time. Positivity. Positivity, you would think that that's a great thing to have. Yeah, it's a really great. I love it. With woo, communication, and positivity, it helps me win others over so much faster because I can communicate with them and give them great energy when I do it. But at the same time, some people think that I'm too positive. I'm smiling all the time. Some people are like, well, man, you're always smiling, man. You never have a downside. Yeah, I do have downside. I do have a downside, but for me, it's not necessarily the greatest thing to show it. Why show my downside when positivity gets me more? It gets me out there more, and it gets me amongst the people. And so having that, these things require me. I mean, I look at woo, communication, and positivity. I'm way up in the air. I'm way out in the stratosphere, and it's hard to bring me back. But it's a good thing that my fourth top 5 is consistency, because consistency means I need to have certain things in a certain structural order. I need things to be fair. And so I notice sometimes when I'm wooing people that I might cut them off, and I stifle what they want to get across. And so I have that sensitivity to see that I need to be more fair. Sometimes I need to step back and say, well, maybe I need to listen to them more. And maybe I need to stick around them more. Even though I want to go talk to the other person over there, this person right here actually needs my attention. And sometimes I miss those cues, but it's my consistency that wants me to be fair and wants me to give an even amount of attention to the people out there that I deal with. And that's why I think Mixer has been so important for me, is because it allows me to spend less time managing things that I want to do and spend more time broadcasting things that I want to do. And so that consistency allows me to come back and make a schedule that I can come back and follow. And I think I finally found my sweet spot, even though, hey, CJ2322, what's the question? Tell me the question while I'm here. I miss the chat, so that's why I got my phone right here so I don't miss the chat. But what's the quick question? Talk to me. In the meantime, and then futuristic. I'm gonna go to futuristic. Now, futuristic can have me out in the stratosphere as well. If I didn't have that consistency reeling me back in and keeping me on a schedule, that futuristic can get me out into the dreaming world where I'm thinking about stuff that can happen and that I want to do and that I want to figure out. But then at the same time that all this stuff is out there that I want to figure out, I may think about too many of it and get lost in that futuristic ability. That's the shadow side of it. It's a strength that I think and plan for the future, but I may plan too much for the future. I can get caught up in that thought of planning too much for the future. And that's where consistency reels me back in and keeps me, look, you got to get this stuff done. Yeah, you're out in dream world right now. Come on back, Doc. Come on back, Mario. You know what I'm saying? Come on back, Doc Rio. You know, whatever you want to call me, Mario, Doc Rio, doesn't matter to me. It is the same. I am the same person, even though sometimes I talk about myself in the third person because, Doc Rio is also um, a, a service mark. It's a trademark. It's a trademark brand. So I kind of talk of it as its own brand as well. So, but a lot of people get caught with those first 5 top strengths. And, one of the things I find that when I am caught in those top 5 strengths, I have to look further past it. I've spent to get all of Gallup's 34 strengths. And you can get that on the Gallup StrengthFinder site. You can just type in StrengthFinder, StrengthFinder. That's with an S, strengths as in plural strengths, Finder, Gallup, and you'll find their website. And you can go right to their website. I'm gonna put a link in the description below for those who are watching this on YouTube, and you can go to there and you can get your top 5 strengths, or you can buy the book. I bought the book years ago and didn't know it. Had this book, never actually. It's by Tom Rath. Never actually. I'm trying to get it there where you can. There it goes. Never actually went and used there's in the back of the book or somewhere in the book, there's a free thing inside of it that allows you to open up the book and get your StrengthFinder for free. Now, I didn't do it. I just read through the book and it's like, this is interesting. So I needed to learn exactly what this was about. And I was interested in it, but I hadn't really used it to my advantage. You can't really understand it if you just read it and you don't know what your strengths are. If you don't know what the survey actually comes out with the totals for you. And in doing this, I noticed that I was more curious about the rest of my 34 strengths, which led me to want to know more about my top 10 strengths. So I bought the 34 strengths. And what I realized is that the top 10 strengths actually, the other 5 strengths that are added to your top 5 cater to your top 5 and help strengthen your top 5. And so I got connectedness that helps me relate to people more. And so I do feel the sensitivity when I woo more. And sometimes I come back later and I try to talk to those people. Developer, where I'm constantly trying to make things happen, trying to extend things out and strategize, and strategic, where I'm actually planning more. Where instead of people thinking that I got one route, I usually have 1 or 2 or 3 routes, but sometimes my second and third route aren't really that good either. So sometimes I got to work on those as well. Relator, there we go. Relating to people, connecting with people, getting connected with people, and achiever, well, achiever. I'm always trying to achieve something. I'm always trying to get some recognition somewhere. Be honest with you, I am, even though I don't know that when the recognition comes around, I'm not as receptive to the recognition, but I'm always trying to achieve something. It's something about me, this drive to always try to get to the next level and get that recognition. But when the recognition comes, it's not always the best for me, And so that's why you see me reading books like last week. I was talking about, not just cultivating meaningful work, but the gifts of imperfection, because sometimes I'm telling myself the supposed to's and listening to should haves and bringing myself down instead of looking at the fact that I am accomplishing these things like cum laude. I am accomplishing these things like awards for things that I'm things that I'm doing. I am accomplishing these things like reaching out there and reaching higher to maintain a better mental state, but also get my ideas to the next level, reach out there and expand my business and take risks. So these are some of the things that I think people miss, and I think it has to do with the idea of how education has been set up over the years, or should I say business has been set up over the years. Now, most people, when you go into a job, with this idea that, or let's go back to medieval times. When you got a job, you had to become an apprentice for somebody. Like, so if it was the metal worker, the the blacksmith or the tailor or or the doctor or whatever. You know, you had to become an apprentice for them for a certain amount of time. One Now you go and apprentice for this master, and you go and learn the skills you need to learn to go out and successfully do the skills on your own. You work for that master, so you help that master get, get things done in that community. That master has set up camp in that community, and he's taking care of that community, or he or she is taking care of that community. I'm just going to give it from that perspective. Now, when you when you supersede, or when you grow past apprentice, you become a journeyman, or we become a journeyman. A journeyman means you can go out now in the world and travel to different places and learn from other masters. And as you travel and work for other masters and learn from other masters, you gain these skills that eventually call you to settle down in a place that needs a master. And you become a master. And when you become a master, you look for an apprentice to help you do the services you need for that community. And that apprentice goes on the same process. Now, understand this. In education today and in education throughout the years, education has been structured that same way. When we go to school to get a bachelor's degree so that we can become a journeyman. And a journeyman goes out and works in the field, in employment in that field, and they either stay a journeyman. Some people stay journeymans for the rest of their life just because they like to go out and do the work in that position. Some people become masters and open up their own businesses and become entrepreneurs. And an entrepreneur has to go through certain phases to become an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, by our education system, we are structured in a system that says we become a journeyman, and then we get a master's degree and we become a master, and we actually go back and become a journeyman again once we become a master. And then we get a doctorate degree and we become back and we go back and become a journeyman again once we become a doctor, unless we open our own practice. You see, a master's degree is starting to become, instead of you starting to go out and become an entrepreneur, people are getting master's degrees to go and work for other people. You see, that process where we become journeymen has become this complex that I'm starting to think of. It's called critical journeyman theory. There's not a theory out there yet, but I'm starting to think that we have this critical journeyman theory that stems off of critical education theory. And so what is critical journeyman theory? It's a theory that I'm researching right now that has to do with the idea that it is the logical result it's the logical result of institutionalization of educational systems that manifest the environment for corporate culture and employment, which is pressed into the production of traditional work values. So this is an idea that I'm coming up with. This is a concept, and I'm going to dig deeper into it because I think we're stuck into this idea that you go, like, there's people fighting it now today, but when you go to school, get your degree, you go to work for somewhere and you get another degree, and then you go back and work for this place at a higher rate, and you still don't start to branch out and become more entrepreneurs. And that's what people are fighting against today. People are so adamant of saying, I need to be an entrepreneur life. I don't need to go to school and do all that. Yes and no. I think we all need to continue to keep learning. But I think critical journeyman theory has us fighting this idea of going to school. At the same time, it has some of us fighting this idea of becoming entrepreneurs. And instead of us fighting these ideas, we need to start combining them. We need to get past this theory, this idea that we have to take this certain route, and start to look for routes that fit for us. We have to challenge these theories out there. We have to challenge these thoughts and challenge these ideas and start to make moves for us. Take risk, invest in ourselves, do the things we need to do to rank our brand. Get out there, start brand ranking, and then you can start having more massive action. And that's what's coming next week, folks. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned as we get ready for next week's broadcast, which is I think it's gonna be on massive action. I'm gonna look at the data a little bit more, but I think I had some more questions about massive action. And just don't forget, if you like what you see, just click that follow button below. And if you really got a question, CJ2322, if you're still there and you got a question, I'm still trying to hang out a little bit longer to see what your question is so that I can answer it live. But if you have another question and you want to catch me, you can go ahead and catch me on Discord. Come on down, click the link in below. It should be a link in the Mixer chat that has Discord. You can join the Discord channel. And also, I'm going to be posting the Discord link out soon. And, that's pretty much it for me. But before I go, you know what I got to do. Get ready for the Doc Real roll. This is Doc Real. Stay tuned for more on Doc Real TV in the Hot Box with Doc Real. I'm out of here. Peace.
There it is. If you need to reach us on Facebook, it's at doc.rio, yeah. On Twitter at Doc Real Rants. On Instagram, the picture way. And every time I come, I'm here to stay. Snapping photos and get it right. It's at Doc Rio tonight. Say, on YouTube, you can't stop by Doc Real TV. That's where you see me. That's where you see me. Hit us up on Rio Bucks. .com. Yeah. Back to your regularly scheduled program now. Peace. I'm out.
Doc Real TV.